The United Kingdom's $21.5 to $22.5 million plan to bolster Jamaican agriculture. Welcome to episode 57 of The Unequal Perspective.
Hello, and today you're joining us for a deep dive into a really quite significant initiative.
That's right. The UK supported Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project, SB for short, in Jamaica.
And this deep dive is really for you, someone who wants to get a quick handle on what's important, understand the significance. We're planning to unpack what SB is all about.
Yeah, and why it matters.
Exactly.
We've looked into the information about the project, where the money's coming from, how far along it is, what the actual goals are. So our mission today really is to understand the intended positive impacts and also try and figure out the reasons behind the UK putting up the cash.
Makes sense. So where should we start? The potential benefits.
Let's do that. What are the main upsides we're expecting from SB?
Okay, well, at its core, SPE is really focused on improving irrigation and the general agricultural infrastructure. We're talking Clarendon and St parishes specifically.
Right, the Southern Plains.
Exactly. The big idea is to take land that was mostly fallow, former sugarcane land, and make it productive for other types of agriculture.
Okay, transforming unused land, that sounds like a big deal. How much are we talking in terms of increased irrigated land?
Well, the aim is pretty ambitious. They want to push the national percentage of irrigated arable land up from about 15%.
Which isn't very high.
No, it's not. Push that up to nearly 20%. That's a significant jump. And it's not just plans. Things are happening.
Oh, really? Like what?
They've already built 12 kilometers of new roads, for instance. Think about access for farmers.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Definitely. And better crop storage facilities, new power supply lines, wells. It's tangible infrastructure going in.
You mentioned the Parnassus Agro-Park earlier when we were prepping. What's the latest there?
Ah, yes. Parnassus and Clarendon. That's actually a completed part of the project. It got up and running in April 2025.
So it's operational now?
It is. And they've already approved over 60 farmers to start working there. The immediate impact is huge, nearly 400 hectares of new irrigated farmland.
Wow.
And they're delivering something like 9.6 million gallons of water daily. That's already benefiting over 800 farms in the area.
9.6 million gallons daily. That's a serious amount of water. Okay, so infrastructure is one big piece, but the outline also mentioned climate resilience. How does SPID address that? Seems vital for agriculture these days.
It's absolutely vital, and it's a key goal. It's not just about the pipes and roads, it's also about knowledge.
Okay.
So a big component is training for the farmers, building their capacity, as they say, in climate resilience techniques. Things like using crop modeling to make smarter planting decisions based on, changing weather patterns.
So helping them adapt to the unpredictable stuff.
Precisely. Equipping them to handle the climate challenges we know are increasing.
That makes a lot of sense. Infrastructure plus the know-how. What about the smaller farmers? Are they getting lost in this big project?
That's always a concern, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they seem to have thought about it. There's something called the matching grant scheme.
Okay.
It's specifically set up to help small-scale farmers. And they're actively targeting inclusion, making sure women, young people, and farmers with disabilities get access to these grants. There are manuals, a steering committee. It seems quite structured.
That's good to hear. Focus on inclusive growth.
Yes, fostering gender equality and reaching vulnerable groups is definitely stated as an aim.
So you put all that together, better irrigation, climate adaptation support, help for smallholders. It really sounds like it could seriously impact Jamaica's ability to, feed itself, right?
Exactly. Improving food security is right there as a primary objective. More local production, more resilience. It reduces dependency.
And presumably, a healthier agricultural sector means good things for the wider economy, too. Jobs, growth.
Oh, absolutely. That's the broader vision. Transforming the agricultural sector is expected to spur economic growth, create jobs. And there's another piece, market access. They're expanding cold storage facilities. This helps farmers deal with, say, an oversupply of produce, less waste, better quality reaching the market. It connects the farm more effectively to the consumer.
Right. Stops produce rotting before it can be sold. Okay, that's a pretty comprehensive picture of the benefits. Better infrastructure, climate smarts, inclusivity, food security, economic boosts, market links.
It covers a lot of ground.
It really does. So now, the other big question. The UK's role. Why did the UK decide to step in and fund this? What's in it for them, essentially?
Well, the direct financial part is about 17.3 million sterling.
Which we said is around, 22 million US dollars?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yes. And the money comes via the UK Caribbean Infrastructure Fund, UKCIF. It's managed by the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB.
Okay, UKCIF via the CDB, that's the channel. But strategically, why Jamaica? Why this agricultural project? Any clues in the project's aims?
We can definitely infer some likely strategic goals by looking at what the project does. Supporting climate adaptation is a big one. The Caribbean is, as you know, highly vulnerable.
Very much so.
So investing in resilience there makes strategic sense from a stability perspective. And strengthening Jamaica's agriculture sector obviously helps its economic stability and development.
So it aligns with broader development goals.
I think so. You can see it as part of a larger effort to support sustainable development and build resilience across the Caribbean. While the source doesn't explicitly spell out all the UK's motives beyond the funding mechanism itself, the project's focus on climate and economic stability points strongly in that direction.
That logic tracks, partnering on shared vulnerabilities like climate change and food security, which ultimately contributes to regional stability. Okay, so where is SPA right now? What's the current status and the outlook?
Well, as we said, it's definitely operational. Key parts like the Parnassus Agro-Park are up and running and showing results.
But it's not fully finished yet.
No, the scale is significant, so the completion date has been pushed back a bit. They're now looking at September 2026.
An extension. Is the funding still there?
Yes, there's continued commitment. The Jamaican government actually allocated over 965 million Jamaican dollars. That's about 6.2 million US dollars in their latest budget for the final works.
So still actively being worked on and funded. What are the big tasks left?
The main things remaining are completing the full irrigation networks, the pipes and distribution systems, also installing pumps and other key equipment at both Amity Hall, that's in St. Catherine, and Parnassus.
Right.
Plus finishing construction on reservoirs and pump houses and getting the UV sterilization equipment for water quality installed.
So still some major engineering work to go, but the framework seems to be there.
Pretty much. It's about connecting all the dots now, bringing the whole system online. By late 2026, we should really see the full impact.
It sounds like it really could reshape the agricultural landscape in those parts of Jamaica.
I think the potential is definitely there. SPA, with that significant UK backing via UKCIF, genuinely promises a lot for Jamaican agriculture. You know, more reliable water, better climate coping strategies.
And importantly, that inclusive growth aspect.
Exactly. Benefiting a wider range of people in the sector.
Okay, so summing up, the SPA project looks set to deliver major benefits for Jamaica irrigation, resilience, inclusive growth, thanks in large part to that UK funding through the UKCIF.
A major infrastructure and development push.
Definitely. Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. Considering the sheer scale of this, all the different players involved, what do you think might be the single biggest challenge in making sure SPA is sustainable in the long run? How do you ensure these impressive goals translate into lasting change for Jamaica's farms and farmers? Something to ponder.
A crucial question for any project like this.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project here on the Unequal Perspective.